The dog broke free without a sound. No warning bark, no shouted command. Just the snap of a leash slipping loose and the heavy, controlled thud of paws on linoleum as a bomb detection canine charged straight through the emergency room of St. Matthew Hospital. People froze. A gurney slammed into a wall. A heart monitor screamed louder, offended by the chaos. The dog did not veer toward bags, did not scan equipment, did not hesitate. It ran straight at a woman standing alone beside a medication cart. Lena Brooks did not move. She was 32, in faded navy scrubs, shoulders slightly rounded, blonde hair pulled tight the way night shift nurses did when they stopped caring how they looked. Her badge said rookie, and most nights people spoke over her like she wasn't there. Right now, every eye in the room was on her. The canine stopped inches from her chest and sat, alert. Security hands drifted toward holsters. A surgeon took a step back, lips parted, breath shallow. Somewhere behind the desk, a clerk whispered, "Jesus Christ." Officer Mark Halverson stood frozen at the end of the snapped leash. 41. 12 years bomb squad. He stared at his dog like it had just betrayed him. "That's not possible," he said under his breath. "She's not carrying anything." Lena met the dog's eyes. Calm, focused, no fear, no confusion. Her pulse stayed steady. Halverson swallowed. His mouth went dry. The dog was never wrong, and if it wasn't alerting to a bomb, then something far worse had just walked into a civilian hospital, wearing scrubs, answering to the name Lena Brooks, and pretending to be ordinary. No one told Lena to step back. They told everyone else to move away from her. "Clear the area," a voice barked, sharp with borrowed authority. Chairs scraped. A crash cart was dragged backward. The space around Lena emptied in a widening circle, as if she were radioactive. The dog stayed planted, spine rigid, eyes never leaving her face. Its breathing was slow, controlled. Not threat. Recognition. Halverson raised one hand, palm out, the universal signal for hold. His other hand trembled just enough to betray him. "Ma'am," he said carefully, choosing each word like it might detonate. "I need you to remain still." Lena didn't nod, didn't answer. She was already still. Her gaze flicked once to the security cameras mounted above triage, then back to the dog. Calculating, measuring. A senior surgeon leaned toward a resident and whispered, "She's just a nurse." The words were meant to steady him. They didn't. Lena heard them anyway. Her jaw tightened just slightly. Not from fear, from restraint. The dog leaned forward an inch, sniffed, sat harder. "That's a textbook alert," Halverson said, his voice losing its edge. "But there's nothing there." He looked down at her pockets. Empty. No bag. No device. No reason. His chest tightened. This wasn't an equipment hit. This was memory. A low tone pulsed through the ceiling. Lockdown protocol. Stage 1. Doors sealed somewhere deep in the building. Lena exhaled through her nose, slow and deliberate. She had learned that breath years ago, in places where panic got people killed. "You're searching the wrong thing," she said finally. Her voice was even, almost kind. "If you think it's what I'm carrying." Halverson felt the room tilt. "Then what is it?" Lena looked at him for the first time. Really looked. Her eyes were clear. Old. "Who I am." The first thing that failed was the noise. The emergency room didn't erupt. It hollowed out. Conversations died mid-sentence. Monitors kept beeping, stubborn and indifferent. But the human sound vanished, replaced by the soft click of sealed doors locking somewhere down the corridor. A nurse near triage hugged a clipboard to her chest like a shield. A resident wiped his palms on his coat, eyes never leaving Lena. Halverson tapped his radio. Static. He tapped it again, harder. "Command," he said. Nothing came back. His dog didn't blink. Its ears twitched once, recalibrating, like it was waiting for permission that would never come. A woman from hospital administration pushed forward, her heels too loud in the silence. "We need to identify her," she said, voice tight. "Run her badge." A security officer already was. His screen refreshed. Spun. Refreshed again. His brow furrowed. "I'm not getting anything before nursing school," he said. Louder now. No prior employment. No address history. It's like she didn't exist. Lena closed her eyes for half a second. When she opened them, something had shifted. The softness people read as meekness drained away. What remained was controlled and sharp, like a blade that had learned patience. "That dog wasn't trained stateside," she said quietly, still not looking at Halverson. "Desert environment, high heat, improvised compounds mixed with stabilizers that don't flag civilian sensors." Halverson's breath caught. His grip tightened on the leash that wasn't attached anymore. "How would you know that?" he asked. Lena lowered her gaze to the dog. Her voice dropped, intimate, precise. "Easy, buddy. You're doing your job." The dog relaxed a fraction. Halverson felt his stomach sink. That phrase, that cadence, it wasn't civilian, it was field. A clerk whispered, "What is she?" Lena straightened. The room leaned in without meaning to. "I'm the reason that dog remembers something it was trained to forget." The alert tone changed pitch. Not louder. Deeper. More serious. The kind of sound designed to wake systems that were never meant to be touched in civilian buildings. Overhead lights flickered once, twice, then steadied. Somewhere far from the emergency room, a server finished a calculation it had been dormant for years to make. A security officer's radio crackled back to life, voice thin with disbelief. "We just tripped a federal identifier," he said. "Automatic escalation. I didn't authorize it." He looked up, pale. "I don't think anyone did." Halverson felt the truth land heavy in his chest. "My dog was trained with one unit," he said slowly. Every word deliberate. "One. Overseas. That unit was declared lost. No survivors." He swallowed. That scent profile was archived. The dog stood, stepped closer to Lena, and pressed its head briefly against her leg. Not an alert, not aggression. Recognition. The room shifted, hands lowered, fear twisted into something worse. Understanding. Lena didn't flinch. She let it happen, the way you let a scar be seen once you know hiding is over. "You should call whoever trained you," she said. "Tell them the system just woke up." A man in a dark suit appeared at the edge of the crowd. No badge, no introduction. Another followed him. Their eyes weren't curious. They were assessing. "Lena Brooks," one of them said, testing the name. "There's nothing on you before your late 20s. No childhood records, no military discharge, no death certificate either." "That's because it was classified," Lena replied. The dog sat again, perfectly aligned with her. The man's jaw tightened. "You were declared killed in action." Lena met his gaze. Calm, unapologetic. Then someone filed the paperwork too early. The medical alarm cut through the standoff like a blade. A sharp, urgent tone. Different from lockdown. Different from threat. Human. "Trauma 2, a voice shouted from down the hall. "We're losing him." The words landed hard, real, immediate. The kind of crisis that didn't care who Lena used to be. She turned without asking permission. "Collapsed lung," she said as she walked, already pulling on gloves from a dispenser she passed. "Left side. You've got 90 seconds. A resident blinked at her, stunned. "We haven't done imaging." Lena didn't slow. "You won't get it in time." Inside Trauma 2, the patient was grey around the mouth, chest rising unevenly, eyes glassy with panic. The monitor stuttered, oxygen dropping. The attending hesitated, hand hovering over the chart. "She's a nurse," someone muttered, too loud. Lena leaned in, fingers pressing just below the rib line, feeling the pressure where it shouldn't be. Her face didn't change. "Air's trapped," she said. "It's crushing his heart." "You can't," the attending started. "I can," Lena said, and the room felt the weight of it. Not loud. Certain. Someone handed her the kit. No one remembered deciding to do it. The needle went in clean. A sharp hiss filled the room. The sound of trapped air escaping. The monitor steadied. Color crept back into the man's face. A breath tore back into his lungs. The room exhaled as one. Behind her, Halverson watched, unmoving. The dog stood at the doorway, eyes locked on Lena, alert but calm, like it was guarding something precious. The attending cleared his throat. "Good call," he said quietly. Lena was already moving on, adjusting lines, stabilizing vitals, hands steady now that the truth was out. Whatever she had been before, whatever file said she was dead, one thing was undeniable. When things broke, she knew exactly how to keep them alive. The relief didn't last. A scream tore down the corridor, high and raw. "I see you!" someone yelled. "Seizure!" Lena's head snapped up. The dog's ears lifted at the same time, body tensing, nose already working the air. Halverson saw it and felt the cold crawl up his spine. This wasn't random. This was movement. In the ICU, a young woman thrashed against the bed, restraints biting into her wrists, monitors shrieking in protest. Foam flecked her lips. Her skin had gone pale, almost waxy. A nurse fumbled with medication, hands shaking. "No history," she said. "Nothing in the chart." Lena stepped in close. Too close. She ignored the flailing limbs, the noise, the panic. Her eyes tracked the room instead. The vents, the curtains, the fabric. "This isn't neurological," she said. "It's exposure." The nurse shook her head. "To what?" The dog growled low. "Not at the patient. At the ceiling." Lena looked up. The answer landed fully formed. "Seal the vents," she ordered. "Now!" Someone protested. Someone swore. Someone moved anyway. The dog sat hard beside her, alerting again, stronger this time. Not to the patient, to the space. A suited man appeared in the doorway, breath controlled, eyes sharp. "That's not possible," he said. "Nothing like that is in this building." Lena didn't look at him. She was already guiding the patient's airway, slowing the convulsions with practiced precision. "Neither am I," she replied. The seizure broke. The room went still, the sudden quiet ringing louder than the alarms had been. The dog's posture eased, but it didn't disengage. It stayed close to Lena, tracking an invisible line through the air. Halverson understood then. This wasn't a bomb. It was a trail. And it was leading somewhere inside the hospital. The dog moved first, not rushing, not pulling, just a deliberate step forward, nose low, tail still, as if following a line only it could see. Halverson hesitated, hand hovering over the leash, then stopped himself. "He's not breaking command," he said quietly. "He's following it." Lena fell in beside the dog without looking back. "Cleared doesn't mean clean," she said as they passed sealed doors and darkened rooms. The hospital felt emptied, sound dampened, like a church after a funeral. Machines beeped behind glass. Somewhere a baby cried, thin and lost. The dog paused at intersections, recalibrated, then continued. Each stop sharpened the direction. Each turn narrowed the truth. They reached central supply. The dog sat hard, alert. Security cracked the door. The smell hit first. Metallic. Cold. Wrong. A broken crate lay on the floor. Foam padding shredded. Empty impressions where vials should have been. Lena crouched, scanning the damage, fingers hovering without touching. They didn't want release, she said. They wanted a signal. A suited woman stepped closer, eyes narrowed. A signal to who? Lena stood, the dog's ears lifted. "To anyone still listening," she said. "To anything trained to remember me." A radio burst to life with frantic chatter. "Ambulance bay breach," a voice shouted. "Unmarked vehicle. 2 suspects." Lena closed her eyes for a heartbeat, then opened them. The past clicked into place, like a locked door finally turning. "They expected extraction," she said, already moving. "Not resistance." Headlights flared against concrete as they reached the bay. An unmarked van idled, doors open. 2 figures froze when they saw her. One ran. The other didn't. He raised his hands slowly, eyes fixed on Lena's face. "You're supposed to be dead," he said. Lena felt the cold settle behind her sternum. "So are you." Recognition flickered across the man's face, brief and ugly. "Then you remember," he said, voice low, almost relieved. "Good. That makes this easier." He didn't reach for a weapon. He didn't need to. He stood like someone who believed the ending had already been written. Sirens wailed in the distance, too far to matter. Security moved in, weapons raised, hands shaking. The man didn't look at them. His eyes stayed on Lena. "You should have stayed buried," he said. "You were given that chance." "I took it," Lena replied. "You're the one who dug me up." He smiled at that. Not warmth. Calculation. "This doesn't end with me." He leaned closer as cuffs snapped around his wrists. "It never does." A new alarm cut through the bay, higher pitched, urgent. "ICU bed 7, a voice cracked over the intercom. "Coding." Lena turned instantly. The man laughed once, breathless. "There it is," he said. "Echoes." Inside the ICU, chaos had returned. The patient's skin had gone ashen, pulse erratic, breath shallow. Lena took one look and swore under her breath. "They escalated," she said. She snapped on gloves, voice steady, commanding. "Isolate. Full barriers. Now." The monitor flatlined. Lena didn't hesitate. She started compressions, rhythm perfect, counting aloud, grounding the room. "Stay with me," she said, not pleading, ordering life back into the body. The dog lay at the foot of the bed, eyes locked on the door, a silent sentry. The line flickered, then steadied. A breath tore back into the patient's lungs. Color returned, slowly. Around her, people exhaled, hands shaking, eyes wet. Lena stepped back, chest tight, sweat cooling on her spine. Behind her, the suited woman whispered, "They've activated a retrieval protocol. For you." Lena didn't look away from the patient. "They already tried," she said, "and they failed." The lights dimmed in a rolling wave. Not all at once, section by section. ICU monitors clicked into battery mode, alarms changing tone, softer but more dangerous. Emergency floor strips glowed red, painting faces with a color that made fear look permanent. A nurse whispered, "We lost power," and someone else answered, "No, it was taken." Lena felt it before she saw him. The pressure, the shift in the room, the sense of being bracketed. A man stepped out of the shadow near the supply doors, tall, composed, wearing scrubs like everyone else. Too clean, too still. His eyes were calm in a way that didn't belong in an ICU. "Lena," he said gently. "It's been a long time." Her pulse slowed. "Not long enough." The suited woman stiffened. "Who is that?" No one answered. The man smiled faintly, like this was a private reunion. "You made noise," he said. "Systems don't like loose ends." Rex rose, hackles lifting, a low vibration building in his chest. Lena shifted her stance, placing herself between the man and the patient beds. "You're not here for me," she said. "You're here to clean a trail. The man's eyes flicked down the darkened hallway. You always did see the pattern. He raised one hand, casual. Stand down. If I wanted this loud, it would already be over. A monitor screamed from behind Lena. Battery failing, rhythm unstable. She didn't look back. She moved. Hands on the patient, voice steady, counting compressions, switching to manual ventilation without being told. Stay with us, she said, and the room followed her lead because there was nothing else to hold on to. When she straightened, the man was closer. You could have disappeared, he said softly. I tried, Lena replied. People kept needing help. The supply door exploded inward. Two figures rushed through the gap, masked, efficient, moving with the confidence of people who had rehearsed this exact hallway. No guns. Injectors. Short, brutal tools meant for speed, not noise. Move! Lena shouted, the word cracking like a whip. The handler didn't hesitate. He released the leash. Rex became a blur of muscle and intent, slamming into the first intruder and driving him into the wall with a sound like a car crash. The second man raised the injector. He froze when Lena closed the distance in 3 strides. She caught his wrist, twisted, locked the elbow, and the device clattered across the floor. It was over before the room fully registered it. Security flooded in, bodies pressing, cuffs snapping, breath ragged. One of the intruders laughed through blood. Too late, he said. You can't stop what's already started. Lena knelt, eyes level with his. Watch me. She stood and turned as the man in scrubs stepped back, calculating exits that were no longer there. The suited woman spoke into a satellite phone, voice clipped and cold. Containment breach neutralized. Initiate rollback. Full scrub. The man's smile slipped. You think you can bury this again? He asked. I don't have to, Lena said. You already dug it too deep. Sirens rose outside, real this time. Power hummed back in stages. Lights blinked on. Machines rebooted. The ICU breathed again. Rex returned to Lena's side, chest heaving, eyes bright. She rested a hand on his head, grounding both of them. As security led the man away, he leaned toward her. They'll keep coming? Lena nodded once. I know. The ICU settled into an exhausted hush. Staff leaned against walls, hands shaking now that the adrenaline had burned out. A nurse wiped tears from her cheeks with the back of her glove and laughed weakly. I thought we were all going to die. Lena's voice softened when she answered her. You did everything right. It wasn't comfort. It was recognition. Halverson approached slowly, like he wasn't sure the moment was real. His face held awe and something close to gratitude. He recognized you, he said, glancing at Rex. That's why he ran to you. Lena nodded. We trained together. Halverson swallowed. You saved him too. Lena's hand lingered at the dog's collar. He saved me first. Hospital administration arrived in a tight cluster, words rehearsed, eyes darting between uniforms and equipment that didn't belong in an ICU. Statements were mentioned, reviews, protocols. Lena listened without reacting, gaze drifting to the rows of beds where patients slept through a night they would never fully understand. Later, she said. Right now, they need nurses. The director hesitated, then nodded, defeated by the obvious. In the break room, Lena sat for the first time in hours. Her hands finally trembled, the cost arriving late. A woman in a suit stood in the doorway, posture less rigid now. "You could leave," she said. "Protection. Resources." Lena sipped cold coffee. "I'm protected by a hospital," she replied. "By purpose." Dawn crept through the windows, pale and ordinary. A patient squeezed Lena's hand and whispered, "Thank you," without knowing why it mattered so much. Rex waited near the nurse's station, calm at last. When Lena passed, his tail thumped once. She knelt, pressed her forehead to his. "Go home," she said softly. "You've done enough." He obeyed, looking back until the corner swallowed him. Morning arrived without ceremony. Sunlight spilled across the parking lot, thin and clean, washing the night from the concrete as if nothing extraordinary had happened. Lena stepped outside for a breath of air, hospital badge still warm against her chest. The building behind her stood scarred but upright, humming with life, pretending it had always been this way. She knew better. She always would. Inside, patients slept. Some would wake with no memory of how close they had come. Some would never know that a system older than the hospital itself had stirred and failed, that a past meant to stay buried had walked its halls and chosen restraint over revenge. Lena adjusted her sleeves, hiding the old scars out of habit, not shame. She had learned long ago that survival was quieter than stories made it sound. A nurse waved to her through the glass. Someone needed help turning a patient. Someone always did. Lena went back inside without hesitation. She didn't disappear. She didn't run. She chose where she stood. Not because it was safe, but because it mattered. The world liked to believe power lived in boardrooms, uniforms, and locked rooms with polished tables. Nights like this proved otherwise. Sometimes power wore scrubs. Sometimes it kept breathing steady while everything else fell apart. Sometimes it stayed. If this story held you, if you felt the tension, the resolve, the choice to keep showing up, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel so these stories keep finding their way to you. And if it meant something, leave a comment with these 3 words: Stay human strong.